Hey, it's JP Fluellen with the Titan training on form simplicity. So we are going to dive in and I'm going to get to the point. I'm not going to try to make this super entertaining as much as I'm compelled to because I would like to make sure that this training is concise and quick and to the point, no faking. So we might not be cooking any MCs, but there may be some bacon. All right, so here we go. We're going to do a screen share. We're going to jump right in to form simplicity training. So first off, when you jump into here, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to want to go in and create some what do you call it? Packages. So as soon as you get logged in, you're going to go into blank forms. When you go into blank forms, then go to forms packages. And then when you get into forms packages, create new package. And then you're going to name your package here. Okay. And then you're going to create forms package. And then it's going to ask you to add forms to that package. And these are the packages that are the actual documents you want to add. You want to call it buyer. And then you're going to add bill of sale, counteroffer, designation of agent, disclosure of information on lead-based paint, exclusive right to buy contract, that's your buyer's agency, real estate brokerage disclosure, addendum to buy and sell, agreement to amend, extend, contract to buy and sell real estate, blank addendum. And then since you're with EXP, because if you're in the Titan training, you're going to be part of EXP Realty. And with EXP Realty, we do the wire fraud notice. And then I think at this time, you don't really need any of these other ones. So you're going to get your wire fraud notice. You're going to get that from Sky Slope and then Working Docs. So I'll show you that real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Sky Slope, log in, get your name in there. And then down here, working documents, and then office docs, and then Wyoming, and then I believe wire fraud notice is right at the back of this thing. Yeah, right there, wire fraud notice. Okay, so then you just click on that, download that guy, and then it'll, if you're using Chrome, it'll show up down here with all these other downloaded documents, and then you just drag it right in here, upload file, you drag it from here. So you click upload file, drag that guy right in there, and then it's gonna show up in there like that, and then click save. So I don't need to do that today because I already have one. And then from there, you can jump right in from a forms package. So what you're going to want to do though is once you've created this, it'll just create it and it saves it automatically. So then you can go into your forms packages, create that new buyer package. Because if you're brand new in the industry or on our team, you're going to be working with a lot of buyers. And so this particular video is just for creating buyer's package and then writing an offer for a buyer. So if you're starting from the very first screen, you click the start a new transaction. It's going to give you this screen right here. You can just click right there and then put in the address 123 Main Street. You can copy that over by clicking same address, residential, and then there's other options in here, commercial. farm and ranch, vacant land. Is it a listing, purchase, whatever it is? Or if you got both sides, just do purchase, create transaction. Okay, from here, then the first thing I want to do is go to import property data because this will autofill whatever is in MLS and dump it right into your transaction. So, get logged into your MLS here. If you're going to do, I don't know. Let's see what's listed. We'll just throw something in there. So at the time of this video, it is March 25th, 2021. And right now, currently active, this is just for grins. We have a total amount of 114 active listings. And then if you take out any manufactured modular type homes, stick-built, site-built homes, 98 in the MLS. And then if you go in here and put in for just Cheyenne, just how crazy this market is right now. 79 houses for sale right now, today, in Cheyenne. Pretty wild. So let's just grab an MLS number. Let's see here. Let's go with this one. And then we'll drop that in there. And then you go import MLS data. And there it is, pops right up right there. So you can select that guy, save information. Okay, and then if you have a purchase price, so let's say it's 185 and we're like, no, our market's too hot for that. We're gonna offer 205. So, so it's listed at 185. We're gonna offer 205. Save that data in there. And then from here, you can also, if you want to add more data, then you can say, oh, it's in Laramie County. Bedrooms, bathrooms. You can fill that in as you see fit. Save your data. Okay, and then from here, I like to just jump into transaction participants right away. Something also too, when you import the data over, it doesn't actually put it in the seller parties. It does put it here, but it does not put it in here. So you want to go add seller parties, copy that, and then paste it here so that when you save it, you can add that name automatically to your contact list too, if you'd like to do that. So if there's a name in here you don't have in your database, just go ahead and go down through. Save that in there, and then go into your, so see how it puts it right here. So now you got the name of that person in there. And then I want to add my buyer. So I want to add Joe Schmo. He's German. Put Joe Schmo in there. Actually, Schmo needs to go here. So you put Schmo in there. I don't really want to save Schmo this time around. So now what that's going to do is it's going to auto populate into my contract. So I'm going to go to contract, buy and sell real estate residential. So now I've got the date in there. I've got shmo. I've got who the seller is. I've got the address of the property. And so what I'm teaching all of my agents is you want to put a minimum in here of 1,500. But I recommend if you can get your buyers to put in a minimum of 1%. So in this case, this house, we're going to offer 205. So we're going to put 2,500 in earnest money on this deal. All right. And then, because it all comes back to making compelling offers, right? So shmo is putting down 2,500. And then shmo is also going to do a new loan. In this case, shmo is doing a VA loan, and VA loans are 100% financing unless there's some other parameters. If they're putting more money down, if they're putting 20, 30, 40% down, you want to just reflect how much they're actually going to take a loan out for right here on line 33. You want to put as much information as far as the loan is concerned in there. If they're doing VA, typically it's 100% financing. So in this case, you'd put 205,000 there. And then he's going to get his earnest money back at closing. And so these are the new revised contracts that came out in December of 2020. And so the purchase price is contingent on financing. It's not an all cash deal. So in this case, they may want to have closing costs in there. So this is the verbiage you want to use for closing costs: less, up to, in closing costs and associated fees. And the reason for that is, so on the Titan real estate team at the time of this recording, we are charging a $299 transaction fee. And so when we put closing costs, prepaids, and associated fees, this associated fees is referring to the $299 transaction fee. So with that being said, the less means that these are the costs that are baked into the contract, but we're now going to say we're going to subtract this amount from these costs. So if you ever get the person on the other side of the transaction, the seller, to say, why does it say less this amount? And that's the rationale behind why it's written that way. So in line 54 here, we're going to do it in reverse. So we're going to say seller to pay up to whatever it is that you're going to ask for. And then that is because the seller is paying these fees already. And then we're asking them to pay all of these fees. So we're adding to the verbiage there. And in this case, closing costs, closing firm's fee. What is the closing firm's fee? That's the cost that it takes to put together the closing statement. And so I think right now, at the time of this recording, it's about $250 per side. In a lot of cases, because we, want to look out for our buyers, we have the seller pay that as well. Or if it's a cash deal, typically it's split between buyer and seller. Really just meaning they're paying, each party is paying their own. This one here, general taxes for special assessments. So typically this is just, you put slashes through these. We don't typically have special assessments unless there's something going on where there's a temporary cost that is being assessed to the subdivision. And almost in 99.9% cases, you're going to put slashes in there because there are no special assessments typically. Any release judgments, liens, all these kinds of things. The purpose of this video is not necessarily to go through this line by line, but to tell you what goes in the blanks, because that's what you're going to want to do when you're filling out a contract. In terms of going through this line by line, you're going to do that with your client. or you're going to go through it to the ability of your buyer. So the way that the license law is read in the state of Wyoming is that you need to explain the contract to the ability of your buyer. So whatever that means, you can ask your client, do you want me to go through this line by line? Would you like me to just email this to you, explain the highlights of it? Or would you like to just go through it and then ask me any questions? So you just want to make sure you cover all of your bases when you're explaining that to your buyer. Line 74 here, just put in how they want to be, how they want their name on title. And then as far as title insurance, the way that I write these is I put 10 days, business days, and then 5 business days after receipt of title to get it to your client. So this section here in section C, seller agrees to execute and deliver a general warranty deed. Typically, any normal sale is going to be a general warranty deed. Actually, nobody locally does a special warranty deed. So you'd have to outsource that if you have a particular seller that wants a special warranty deed. So just keep that in mind. And then as far as the title, so the way that I want this in there is to be determined by title search and agreed upon by the parties. You're going to see funky things out there, especially when you start getting listings, all to be released, just all sorts of weird stuff, which makes no sense because anything that you do has to be determined by whatever it is that you're doing. And then both parties have to agree. You can't just say all to be released because no one's agreed to that. All right. So in terms of a title, we just put a satisfactory title within 20 business days after such written notice. And then there's actually a Wyoming statute about that right there. Closing possession. Pick your date at the time of this recording. What's customary in our market right now on a normal closing is about 5 weeks or 37 days. That may change back to, we normally were at about 30-day closings, but right now we're at about 37 days on average. So keep that in mind when you're putting your dates in there. I don't mess with business days. It's too hard to calculate. It's better to just have a date. Closing and possession, the way that I have been teaching everyone is on buyer's closing. And don't even put a time in there because that may change. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, 37 days from now in terms of timing of all of this stuff. The condition of the property, go ahead and read that. I always put none. And then typically right now, and it's not required in the state of Wyoming as of this video to have a property disclosure. So I just let my buyers and let them know that the buyer has not received a property disclosure at the time of the offer. Inspections by buyer. Typically the way that I do these is I always do my 1 to 2 weeks before closing. And I always do them on a Tuesday. So the inspection contingency notice, this first part is always on a Tuesday. And then I always have so this is the inspection objection. So you're objecting to the results of the inspections and they have to be to your seller or to the seller by a specific date. And I always do it on a Tuesday. And then I always have my resolution, which is whether we've come up with an agreement on a Friday. So the logic behind that is that Mondays are always a crazy day. And, it's hard to tell what's going to happen. And Monday is kind of my catch-up day over the weekend. And then I can get back to business by Tuesday. So I can usually get everything caught up and turned in by Tuesday. And then Friday is 4 days is plenty of time typically to negotiate with the seller on the results. So this is March 23rd. actually, it's not March 23rd. Let's just say it's March 30th. And then I always do 11:59 p.m. And the reason for that is a long time ago, I missed a deadline and I will never miss a deadline ever again. So 11:59 p.m. is my cutoff time. So even if it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm laying in bed and I go, oh crap, I can remember. It still gives me like 2 hours to get it turned in. So, and then my B here, this is the inspection resolution deadline. So just go ahead and pick that Friday, which in this case is going to be 2nd. And then I always have 8 o'clock here because I want my, I don't want to be up all night waiting for a response from the seller. So, and I don't do business days. Again, it just comes back to too hard to keep track of. And then these are kind of some placeholders that I have put into my package that come in there installed. And so I have my roof inspection, which I have in every contract. I also have my buyer has advised. It's the buyer warning, the buyer's agent warning to the buyer that you need to get we recommend that you have your home inspected. And then I have my covenants receipt baked in, actually added in on every one of my offers. So I don't have to go chase down a covenants receipt later. And then if you want to add a warranty, great. If not, just take that out, just delete it. Right now, I try to keep my offers as clean as possible just because we're in multiple offer situations right now. But you can do anything you need to at the direction of your client. So with these new contracts, you're going to want to click see attached addendum, and we'll go through that here in just a second. And then on these, you want to make sure you fill in when the offer is going to expire. So if you want it tomorrow, 26th by 10 a.m., that's when I want my response. And then down here, you want to make sure, oh, actually, sorry, there's another spot right here. You want to click, I'm here working with them as a buyer's agent and I want to get paid by the listing broker. Okay, so that pretty much covers the buy-sell agreement. Okay. And what's going to go with your buy-sell agreement is going to be the bill of sale, your blank addendum, and it's your financing addendum where we click that box. So on the blank addendum, so you're going to have this information in there on that financing addendum. So in this, it's all fully editable. So you're just going to choose what type of financing they want. You just delete out which ones they're not using. You're going to fill out 30 years and then, or if it's less, what the rate is. So you always want to estimate high on the rate. So if they get a quote from the bank and the rate says it's 2.5%, then I'm going to put 3.5%. The reason for that is if the rate changes between now and the time of closing, you're not out of contract. And then from here, you want to just use a mortgage calculator, take your 3.5%, put it in the amortization schedule at the purchase price, and then it kicks out a payment. So I use mortgagecalculator.org. Seems to be the most user-friendly, and that is right here, mortgagecalculator.org. And you just fill in all the spots, and then you're done. All right. So you want to know when you're going to get the loan done. I put 10 days as a standard. And then pre-qual letter, I try to get it there by the next day. And tomorrow's the 26th. So we're going to put 26, 21. And then that's all you fill out on that. And then just make sure that you familiarize yourself with the language of this contract and the financing addendum. All right, moving right along, your bill of sale. Where do I get the information for the bill of sale? So you want to make sure shmo, the buyer, seller, the date, And then the reason for the bill of sale is for the appliances. Banks like to see that the appliances are not part of the contract. So where do you get that? It's part of your inclusions. So this is a bank-owned property, so there are no inclusions, even though they'll be left in the house. The bank has no representation of any of the things left in the house. But in a normal listing, you're going to see a section in here. Let me see if I can find one. So like on this house right here, you're going to see inclusions. So you would just copy those inclusions and then dump those right there. And then just make sure you separate those out. Save it. And then you're going to want to do a designation of agent, because we practice designation of agent on the Titan real estate team. So in the designation of agent, you just click exclusive right to buy, starting today. Broker shmo is being represented by JP. And then put Becky down there. She is a associate broker. So just put her down on there. Save that guy. Lead-based paint, if it's built prior to 1978, not 1978. So if it is 1978, you don't need to do one. If it's prior to 1978, you need to do one. So when you do the auto population, it'll put the year in there automatically for you. And then I just recommend as a blanket statement to click there's seller has no knowledge and seller has no reports. That way, the buyer has to do all the due diligences if you're representing the seller. As the buyer, I recommend just having them initial, and then waive the opportunity to do the lead-based paint test for a variety of reasons. Number one is that it is a pretty intrusive test. And if they do a lead-based paint test, then the buyer has to also pay to have it put back. And so you just need to get a copy to all of your buyers, a copy of the How to Protect Your Family pamphlet. You can just Google that, How to Protect Your Family from Lead-Based Paint. And you can upload that into your package as well. How to protect your and you can either buy them, physically give them some, or you can just get the free PDF right there. You can download it, copy it, paste it, email it to them, whatever you need to do. Okay, so from there, also on this, there's this little spot right here that tends to get forgotten very often. The seller buyer initial, and then also the agent needs to initial right here. So don't forget that, as well as if you're working with shmo, make sure you sign it there when you send it over. All right. Real estate brokerage disclosure. You just need to make sure that you go through that with them, put the date in there, and then also you sign it here as the agent from the brokerage company, and then your client's going to date it, time, sign. Okay. Next one, buyer's agency agreement. You want to have this on every single one. Put the date in there, fill it out. And then I don't fill these out anymore. I make these very generic. So Laramie County is the general area known. And then the type of property is any real property. And then I do my buyer's agency agreements for 6 months. So just put that in there, put a date, time in there, and then 6 months from now, boom, and then 8 o'clock again. There you go. There's your 6-month agreement. Depending on the commission of the property, 2.5%, put that in there, leave the rest of that blank. I put 160 days here on line 58. You want the permission from the listing broker to ask for your commissions, and then making sure that they do have, they're legal and they don't have any pending legal issues to prevent them from purchasing. And then Megan's Law, and then the EXP transaction fee. Actually, it's supposed to be in there. And this is that in addition to the commission that you're getting from the seller, the buyer also agrees to pay the $299 fee. Now, you're going to request that as a closing cost if you're asking for closing costs. If you're not, then your buyer is going to pay that out of their earnest money at closing. And it's very easy. You just pop this in there. When your buyer signs it, they've agreed to it, and that's it. All right, so hopping out of that into I think we covered everything. Designation of agent, bill of sale, broker disclosure. Wire fraud notice. So this is kind of a baked PDF wire fraud notice. So you just go through the wire fraud notice, have your buyer actually sign here, date there, and that's it on that one. So now that you've done all of that, right? How do we get our buyers to sign? So there's a couple of ways to do that. One is to have them sign in person, or you can have them electronically sign. So with the technology and with EXP being a tech brokerage, we're a cloud brokerage, we all work from home to make it more convenient. I would say that probably that the focus more on making them sign electronically. And so how do we do that? Well, Form Simplicity actually has this all in there already. And so you can actually just go through and check the ones you want them to sign. And then lead-based paint, buyer's agency, brokerage disclosure, and then contract to buy and sell real estate, and then the wire fraud. So there you just go to e-sign, okay, and then it'll populate everything here. If you had put an email with the parties that are collaborative parties, part of the process, and put their email addresses in there, that would populate here too. So I know that I'm going to be a signer. I know that I'm going to email this to Max. So I'm going to copy his email address, and then I'm going to hit create new session. All right. And then here I'm going to put offer and associated docs. 123 Main Street. Okay. And then I'm going to put Joe, please review the attached Actually, please review because they're not attached. It's in a link, actually. So please review and sign. Let me know if you have any questions or changes. All right. And then on here, I do have this disclaimer in here. Please contact me to go over this contract. By clicking review and sign, you have been afforded the opportunity to go over this content herein and that you understand its effects and are willing to proceed. JP Fluellen, Titan Real Estate Team. Okay. I always click send to all signers at once because otherwise you have to wait for one to sign and then the next one goes out if you have multiple signers, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So send to all signers at once. Okay, put me as a signer because my stuff is baked into here because this is my platform. So I hit next. All right, there's my stuff. And then I'm going to add shmo as a signer. So Joe shmo, and then put his email in there. So now Joe's going to have an email address that pops in there. See? There you go. Now those are the parties that are signing. Then here's a little wizard. So the buyer is shmo. And then I'm the buyer's agent. And then I'm also the other signer. Hit next. Then everything is going to populate in here. So I'm going to drop shmo in there because that one didn't show up for some reason. I grab the date and time and drop it in there like that. And then there's my financing addendum. And then if I forget something for some reason, I want to put some text in there. I can be like, oh crap, I forgot to put how much his payment was going to be. So I can put that in there like that. Or I could do transversely, I could put in a form field and I could have the client type in the amount, depending on what I need done. So these are just different tools that you can do. Some people like to highlight stuff. Oh, you didn't know what your financing was. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that for you. So, and then so that stuff auto populates there. There's my initial in that spot right there. Schmo's initialing there. I'm the person there. Okay, looks like everything's populating like it's supposed to. Okay, and then take that out. They changed the rule on the brokerage disclosure. If somebody refuses to sign, you can sign and say, hey, they refuse to sign. I don't know why somebody would refuse to sign. Maybe if you're working with somebody as a customer and they don't want to sign something, then you can sign this and say, well, I don't need to sign anything because I'm working with you as the customer. So why would I sign something? Buyer's agency agreement we just went over. Okay. There's Schmo's signature there. And then there's your wire fraud notice. Drop your signatures in as the buyer, date and time. Hit next. Sometimes it has to catch up. The machine's a little slow sometimes. And then if it doesn't load, hit it one more time and then it should go. Okay, so then once you've gone through that, here you get a chance one more time to look through your document, make sure you didn't make any more mistakes. Get one more chance, and then hit next. And then you get one more chance to double check your message to Schmo, and then hit finish, which we're not going to do because Schmo is not real. So there you go. That is the making an offer, filling out your documents 101. and consult your team leader or office staff or mentor with any questions that you might have in terms of writing your offer. So there you go. That is the class, and look forward to doing more of these. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day, and go make some money.